Welcome to another episode of Roll or Die. Today we have another repeat guest. He was a fantastic guest first time round. A lot of our listeners were maybe not listeners of the show back when we first had him on, which was back in 2020. So we definitely thought we have to get this guy back on again. Those of you on the scene, he's no stranger to you. He's been around forever and a day. He is a fourth degree black belt. He's the head coach of Rise MMA. He is Cam Rowe. Thanks for joining us, Cam.
Hey guys, thanks for having me back.
No, brother, absolute pleasure. I just looked it up. Episode 36, October 2020, October 22, 2020. There you go.
Oh,
Wow.
there you go. Think of COVID.
Yes, we were in the middle of COVID and we were still babies at this podcasting business. Anton, look at us now. We're 4 years in. We're much more professional. Yeah.
I don't know about that. I don't know. But I think
professional.
Is that water or vodka?
We've survived at least.
Yes. Yeah.
So what's happening at Rise these days, Cam? What's the latest news at Rise?
What's the latest news at Rise? Steady as we go. Got some good, strong, up and coming guys. Cepho is now a brown belt, so it was an honor to be able to grade him.
How long was that?
He's killing it. He's like a killer on the competition scene. Yeah, I've seen him at so many comps. He's done so well.
Yeah, he's doing an amazing job. Yeah, his commitment is fantastic. It's great to watch.
Awesome.
Yeah, so he's getting ready, and a couple of the other guys, Dave and Lockie, are getting ready for ADCC in Bangkok, in May. So they're training super hard. So it's good to see. Yeah.
Awesome.
Does that sort of change the competition, the focus for the whole club, or do they kind of go off and do their own thing, or how does it work?
Geez, those guys are so motivated. They're setting up their own little extra sessions. They're doing the no-gi sessions, and then they're setting up some other stuff, because we've got at the gym we put in another level, because we're in a warehouse. So during COVID, I put in another floor, and so they can go upstairs, and I hear them thumping around while I'm teaching downstairs. They're just doing extra teaching gi downstairs, and they're getting into it upstairs, training hard. So they're doing a great job of really mapping it out themselves.
Actually, that's an interesting question. Let's explore this. Because is Rise, in your view, from a club culture perspective, is it a competition club? Is it a family jiu-jitsu club? Is it a self-defense club? How do you define, or what's your vision for Rise as a club?
Yes.
Yes, to all of those.
Yeah, it really, I'm not hardcore comp. I understand its place. I'm not hardcore self-defense. It has its place. But also, yeah, it's a family gym as well. I mean, I've got plenty of adult students that have their kids train with us as well. So I'm so proud of the culture there, that they feel comfortable bringing their kids into that environment, and that they're surrounded by other good humans that they want to influence their kids. So in that respect, we are a family gym.
Yeah.
But when it comes to competition, I understand it's super important, and I want my guys to compete, because it's always a great way to test themselves. But also, I'm very much still the old school, that when people want to train a martial art, they envision an important self-defense element.
Yeah,
and that's why a lot of my beginner guys, the intro guys, it's a large proportion of self-defense, and it tapers off as you go through, work towards blue belt. But we have a component there that they work through. So, because I think that as you get into jiu-jitsu, you want to learn to be able to look after yourself. So we take care of that early on, and then expand into the greater world of jiu-jitsu. That's, like the universe, it continually expands and grows in different ways. It's hard to keep up, really, nowadays.
Absolutely.
And what do you think about like the current state of jiu-jitsu in Australia? And where do you think, what's the next kind of big thing? I think jiu-jitsu's probably even changed since we last spoke on the last podcast in 2020. Like, where do you see like those things going from your point of view?
My point of view, I mean, you've seen now, 2020. Let's go back 4 years. I mein, Gordon Ryan's become so much more dominant. I think a lot more of the who's number one type no-gi has become just so big now. So that's phenomenal to see. I don't see that stopping. I think the no-gi bug is just growing and growing. It has its appeal, but once again, I'm knocking on 50 now. So, yeah, so I've seen, like, I think there's also that importance of gi still. I still believe in that from a coach's point of view, doing it for 30 years, and I see that there's the appeal of no gi. But I still value the gi so much more, and I actually still prefer it, even though I do plenty of no gi. I do prefer the gi. Maybe it's a slower, older man game. I can grab a hold of it and keep him rather than slipping out like a bar of soap all the time.
And do you get people come into your club and want to do just no gi and stay with that, or how does it go?
Not really. Not specifically. I mean, I've had some. I've inherited a few that have trained elsewhere. I moved to Melbourne and they're over the west and they've come and trained and they've done some no gi and they kind of stick with that, and that's fine. I don't have too much of a dog in the race in the sense of that. If they want to come and train with me, that's great, and I'll give them everything I have, whether it's gi or no gi. But I still truly believe the underpinnings of both have a strong common factor. It's still weight, leverage, timing, angles, all these things, and just some of the elements. So, and I still remember back in the day where, back in the dominance days, we would do seasonal training. We'd be gi in the winter, and then as it got warmer, we'd switch over. And I would absolutely hate that 2 weeks of transitioning from gi to no gi and be swearing and cursing because there's no collars and there's no this and there's no that. And then you go back the other way when you've been doing gi for 3 or 4 months, you go back into the gi and it's like, it's all just handles and will you get off me and piss off and, but now because we're always training both, it's just, there's no, I think that my game doesn't really vary, and I try and get guys to have a very strong core of jiu-jitsu and then just alter it a little bit for gi or no gi.
Is there still an argument for that seasonal training, or is that just an obsolete method and training both all the time is the better way in your mind?
I think training both all the time is the best way. Yeah, very much.
Yeah, fair enough.
And it used to be like the gi season was kind of like January to June, like certainly in the Northern Hemisphere, that was when the comps were mostly gi. And then the second half of the year was no gi. But now, like you said, there's so many of those invitationals and who's number one type shows that there's always no gi going on all over the world.
Yeah, I agree. But I just think that the gi teaches you a bit of discipline about some of the stuff. You can't get away with it as much in gi, I reckon.
Yeah.
All right, I've got an interesting conversation to open up here. It's controversial, guys, but
why me? Why?
Oh, God.
One of my coaches
Don't worry,
said
it's with everyone, Cam, not just, sorry. Don't want you to feel not special.
One of my coaches said to me the other day that he thinks that the coach, he was talking about himself. He's like, I think I've discovered I have very little to do with how good my students get. The good ones were always going to become great, and the bad ones were never going to go that far. And I found that, like, while I do work to improve as a coach all the time, I know that I'm not having, like, these people come in and they're going to be, you can just tell the ones who are going to be great. You know what I mean? And because, like, I like to think, for example, you see a soccer team and you see like they switch out, they fire the coach, a new coach comes in, and all of a sudden this team starts firing and doing really well. So I know that coaches can have a profound impact. But what is your view on this this view of my coach. I'm interested.
That's very humble of him, but I think he's understating his effect. I think because, what is it? It's hard work will beat talent that doesn't want to work hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you can put in all the hard work you want, but if it's not focused and honed in a way, the results aren't necessarily going to be there. It's the equivalent of splashing around in the water. You can drown, but unless you've got a defined stroke, what is it? You're just going to end up drowning. So you can work really hard and not go anywhere and drown, or you can actually have an underpinning of strong technique. And I think that as they develop, as the students develop, they start to not self-teach, but self-correct in a way. So I think that it's super important that the coach starts pointing, just planting seeds. I mean, how many times have all of us been told something over and over and over, and we're like, yep, yep, yep. And then finally one day we go, oh, is that what you mean? And, just like, oh, and it's that sort of reiteration of good technique, of good strategy, of understanding the game and the intricacies and the pros and cons to whatever you want to go with. And it's up to us to go as coaches. I see the path you're on and I see where that's going. Just beware. Because I mean, that's what sensei means, isn't it? And not that I regard myself anything like that, but it's the one that's walked before you. So it's the one that's walked the path. So it's important for us to be able to go and say, oh, this is all right, but you understand that this is a problem. This could be a problem down the track. And I think what also now we're benefiting so much from is that just that pure volume of information. And jiu-jitsu, like you're asking Kim about, jiu-jitsu in Australia is becoming so strong that everyone starts to get better faster, just faster. You see some of these guys, you're like, oh, they've been training for 4 years, and you're like, are you joking? Kind of thing. Yeah. And you're still punching away after 20, 30 years.
Yeah, on that note, just before we go to the next question, a parallel world to jiu-jitsu is chess, right? And the interesting thing about chess versus jiu-jitsu is there's a very powerful rating system. But the rating system is now broken, essentially, because of all of the information in the world. Literally, the chess community has exploded in their strength, such that the algorithms are no longer accurate for ratings. And so I guess like where jiu-jitsu doesn't really have that. We can't really compare. We just know everybody's getting better. But in chess, it's proven that this exploding of information does make people better. It doesn't necessarily make them worse because it's an overload. And, it's like, no, the rising tide lifts all ships with all of this information. So I find that fascinating.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I've got guys on the mat that know more about K-guard or, or pick this or pick that. I'm like, I can give you the underpinnings and I can give you the strong fundamentals about it, but then you're off. And as long as you've got that core, it's kind of, you can plug in whatever you want. But if you're just jumping on stuff willy-nilly, I always like the idea of, if you're just going from a half guard and you're trying to go under the guy, but you're not looking after certain elements and you're just getting flattened out. After that, you can go in any way you want, but you've got to look after this, this, and this. After that, mate, you're on your way.
Fundamentals.
And yeah, it is 100% always.
And Cam, further to Anton's question about coaching and their role, I actually think culture in a club plays as equal a part almost as the coach. What's the culture like at Rise? What sort of a culture are you trying to build, and what do you think about where the culture fits in terms of the students' progress?
The culture, it's a funny one because I do get so many people kind of go, oh, I just love the culture here and it's all about that and just how comfortable. It's funny because it's kind of like I can't always put a finger on it. I suppose it's just we have a set of expectations, be good to others, treat others with respect. If you want to, if you're in it for you, if it's a me attitude, other than a we attitude, I'm not interested. I don't care because one bad apple, as they say, one bad apple can spoil the cart, and it's that. And people ask, "Oh, how do you do it?" You get a couple of core guys, my senior guys, that it self-regulates, you
Mm.
know. So you have people that come in that either go, "This is awesome, really good feel like we're technically strong." Guys are getting what they need out of training. Sorry, and I mean guys as in everyone, general term.
General guys,
Um, that's it. Hey guys,
holistic
guys,
guys.
girls.
Yeah.
Don't even get me started. But anyway, so it's just about everyone's trying to push each other, but we're not trying to kill each other either. Sorry, that's let me just disconnect that. So it's that whole idea of just we train hard, but we look after each other and um just be good. Just be good people. I think that's it. It's not
Yeah.
complicated. Don't let your ego, it's a we, not a me when you
Yeah.
come
Mm.
here.
I love it, man. Have you like what I've noticed, like being at a club for a long period? I'm actually the longest. I think I'm one of 3 or 2 left of the oldest member in my club. Like not the age wise, although probably that too, but like the longest standing member. So that's why one of the reasons I just can't leave because I love that little title. But anyway, but I've watched my club go on this roller coaster of culture. I also
Mm.
think culture's a moving target. And like,
Yep.
have you experienced that culture? You don't have to go into details, but have you experienced times where the culture has really been challenged, and rather than the self-regulating factor, you've like had to really step in and make hard choices, or has it been smooth sailing?
I feel like as soon as you put it out there, you jinx yourself. I've been really, yeah, I know. I've been really, really fortunate in that respect
Yeah.
that it's been quite smooth sailing. I am always mindful of culture. I learned that from my coach, John.
Mm.
Um,
What a rock
culture's
star
always
that guy.
going up or down. It's always improving or declining. So you've always got to do this. And I've been very fortunate now that I put it out there. Something's going to happen. No,
I'm sorry, man.
no, I've been really
Progress
lucky with that.
culture and rise. Oh God.
I'm really fortunate that we've got some really strong personalities in the gym, but
Mm.
good personalities. Like it's the good stuff, and there's quite and I suppose it's a part of that having guys that are older, that are family orientated, that have their kids there as well. They're quite protective of that, and
Mm.
they're quite protective of what we have. So I very rarely feel like I have to say or do anything because I've already got guys that are just like
Mm.
just be who they are. And it's that whole thing of people will either be drawn or repelled
Yeah.
from culture, won't they? And it's
Mm.
that without using too many bloody sayings, it's bird of a feather. People will either say, I like that, I want to be a part of that, I can see the benefit, or
Yeah.
oh, they're a bunch of whatevers and I'm going to go somewhere else, or they're too soft, or they're too whatever. Fill in the
Absolutely.
blank.
Yeah.
It sorts itself out, doesn't it?
It
And
does.
and so I've been fortunate in that way. But yeah, you always got to be mindful of that. You always got to be make sure that we are in a service industry. We have to make sure that we look after people on all levels, whether it's physically, emotionally, intellectually, that we're taking care of them the best we can. And yes, I think it just had the right people around you. I think
Mm.
Yeah.
Love it.
it'll always
Yeah.
be.
And since we last spoke, you've had a bit going on for you off the mat as well. I don't know if you're comfortable to share. You shared quite a bit
So I
last time
can't turn
round.
this off. My bad. I'm gonna get violent with this phone in a sec.
Oh, good.
We go.
And
My apologies, Kim. Try
that's
again.
okay. No,
We
no
told
worries.
you we're
Are
not a
you?
professional podcast, man. You're just coming
Oh
down.
yeah,
We brought you
we
down to that
still.
level.
Yeah, just are you comfortable to share about the journey with your wife and what's going on for you? I think you shared it quite a lot in the last
Oh yeah,
podcast
yeah.
you're on. So just fill us in for any listeners that aren't aware what's been going on.
Yeah, well, it was a bit of a roller coaster. 2019, Christmas Eve, my wife got diagnosed with a cancer, and like all doctors do at Christmas, go on leave. So we were struggling to find answers
Right.
and people that could help us at that time. Um, so we went into getting married, Feb 2020. with her being diagnosed with lymphoma. Thankfully, she made a full recovery. She actually just smashed it out of the park. So that was an
Woo!
interesting time of, yeah, interesting time of gym being closed, the world being closed, getting newly married, and then going on this journey of battling cancer. Yeah, so that was it had its pros and cons at that time.
Yeah.
One is that my wife will freely admit she is a very huggy, kissy, affectionate person, and COVID forced her to have to be mindful of that, in
Mm,
obviously being compromised. So that was I suppose, a blessing in a way. But yeah, interesting times there, with all that upheaval. Yeah, she smashed it out of the park and was clear, I think, about two-thirds, not even about, I reckon, halfway through a treatment, but we still went through the whole thing. That was tough, spending time down at the farm while, because we'd open, we close, we open, we close, and I'd go down to the farm to do my 2 weeks quarantine.
mhm.
Um, and then her having to be able to go into Peter Mac and all that sort of stuff. So that was fun. But yeah, yeah,
Right, man. I
yeah,
dare say
she
your
she goes,
relationship had the big, like you guys were so in love. I'm sure you still are, but the thing is, you were so vocal about it that I'm sure that made a huge difference. Like, to know how loved you are, that's going to get you through and make you want to live on. You know, it's like
yeah,
it's a big deal. So, yeah,
yeah,
I'm
well,
sure she was very lucky to have had you in her life through
yeah,
that.
and she, my stepdaughter Maya was fantastic, being able to look after her. Unfortunately, Tal, my stepson was, well, fortunately, unfortunately, he was away in up at Darwin because he was in the Navy at the time, so he was way away. So that was a little bit tough, him being away. But she did great in supporting and, you know, being supporting her and me and us and whatnot.
Brilliant. I'd love to go back one step because
Mhm.
I'm fascinated now about, like you said, you've got good guys around you at the gym.
Mhm.
I'm guessing only because of my own life that it was just pure luck that you found these good guys. Like, there's no goodguys.com where you go find good guys.
Yeah.
You know, like, what is the story about meeting some of the key people in your gym? How did they come into your life? I'm keen to explore that.
Let me have a look. I'll start with my senior ranks. So I've got Josh Levy, who started with me way went at the very start of Rise 10 years ago, when I was starting at teaching at Marshall Journey under Christian Oakley. He had that gym where I was teaching on their behalf, and then they kind of said, look, we don't have the space nor the time for the jiu-jitsu. If you could find somewhere and take all the students, and that was the start of Rise there.
Wow.
Um, and so Josh has been one of those guys that he was there at the start. I've had Gab as well. Gab came to me as a blue belt when I was over at the Westgate Sports Centre. He trained at a couple of other places. So he had something to compare to. And it was originally, he brought his kids there. And then he's like, I want to get back in. So he's been fantastic. I got another Cam. He's a Campbell, Cam Burnett. He's great. I inherited him as a purple belt, now brown. He was his kids actually, because he was him and his family, Tanya and his kids, Angus and Ailish, were over at the UAE, working there, and Tanya and the kids had moved back to Australia, and he was still up finishing up, tying up loose ends over there, and they started training with me, and then I think it was just pure luck that Tanya found, like, they're out here, out in Altona way, and found us, and then he came back, and yeah, he's been fantastic. I've been fortunate to enough to inherit Jules Gonzalez through Tiago.
Oh, he's a good
Yeah,
card.
he's
It's a good
he's
inheritance.
great. Yeah, he's fun. He's
Yeah,
always
he's
good.
great.
And
He's
that
a
dude, I
wild
roll
card.
with him, and he just stands up when he wants to. It's just like I'm a child. Just got the base of a freaking dining table. Yeah, he's just crazy. And big Dougie Major. Doug's fantastic. And his son Wynn's been training with me for a long time.
There's a lot of
Um,
inheritances. I'm hearing inheritance. Like, you're a guy people go to after they've already been somewhere else, and they're like, "Oh, I'm ready for a change, or I'm changing location, or whatever." So That's
I
interesting.
don't know. Yeah, there's been a few. I mean, obviously Seth's been fantastic. He's homegrown. Um, and just yeah, I've got, another guy, Lance, who's a purple belt. He's been with me since day dot. Um, yeah, it's just been fortunate. Like I
Mm.
say, you just decide that this is what you want and how you're going to be. And I suppose it's that thing is you don't try and be all things to all people. And you go, well, this is what I'm about. If you like it, awesome. If you don't, that's
Mm.
okay too. And I think that's the thing that I have people kind of go, and you see it on forums. I'm looking at gyms and I'm looking at cost and this rank and that rank. It's like, that's irrelevant.
Yeah.
It's about the place. Do you harmonize with the coach and the other students? And that's the
Mm.
most important thing, because as we know, the relationships you build on and off the mat is what's probably one of the most unique things about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Um, and I had this little epiphany a little while ago, and please, Muay Thai people, I do apologize. I don't mean to offend, but I've always tried to find that the with Jiu-Jitsu, how can I try and get that sort of tightness with Muay Thai? And I'm like, I think it's just different people get attracted to different arts
Mm.
and stuff. And we love our Muay Thai guys, and Paul Martin, who heads it up our Muay Thai, does a great job. And and we've got Mick and Dan um teaching for me as well there. But it's all, I think almost, well, I should say this, I'm going to get in trouble, but oh, fuck it. I feel like Jiu-Jitsu people are there for the people and for the growth and for the shared experience
Yeah.
um, of adversity. Whereas I find Muay Thai people are there for, I want to do some self-defense, I want to do some fitness, and I'm happy to come and do my thing, awesome, and go. And
Yeah.
I think it's a more of a workout gym type culture. I just want
Yeah.
to come and do my workout, get fit, feel strong, awesome, and then I'm good and I'm gone.
Yeah.
Whereas jiu-jitsu
Yeah.
kind of,
I
yeah,
agree. For a lot of people, Muay Thai that I know, even in my own family, Muay Thai is the thing that you do when you don't want to get someone else's sweat in your eyeball or mouth. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
that's
exactly. It's
that's
just
what
like
do. You go do Muay Thai when you don't want to be that close to people, and I do get that. It's not for everybody, but
yeah,
See, I'd take it a step further and say I think because of the close contact of jiu-jitsu is what makes it so.
yeah,
Like it's hard
yeah,
correct.
to not be, close
bonded.
with people when you are so physically close with
Yeah,
them.
It's
And
exactly.
especially like the tapping thing, you've got to trust in your partner maybe a little bit more than you would
Mm,
if you're sparring in the striking arts. That's
yep.
my
so true, and
predictive as
it's
Yeah,
well.
proven to release large quantities of oxytocin, like while we do
Yeah.
jujitsu. So it's the same as any other kind of intimate act, but without that level of with a different level of
Intimacy.
violence.
Yeah.
So hopefully,
Yeah.
so,
mate,
yeah.
it sounds like you're doing it wrong.
It does. It does.
Yeah, but
I
that's
love
why after jiu-jitsu,
it.
you always, no matter how much you got smashed, if you were the hammer or you were the nail on the way home, you always, well, for me anyway, I always feel good. You always feel better after training jiu-jitsu than you did before, no matter
Mm,
Yeah,
what happened in
yeah,
class. That's my thoughts in
yeah,
it. That's probably part of why that is.
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%. 100%.
I got one more question. Um, uh, Sorry, Kim, is it your turn?
No, you go.
Okay, cool.
Go.
So, like as a fourth degree black belt, surely like there's still things that do light you up about jujitsu or that you get newly, even obvious things. Is there something recently that you just where you said the coach says something to you a million times and you don't get it, and finally the penny drops? Is that still happening for you? Or is that something that disappears by the time you get to where you're at? And is there
No,
something just
no.
recently?
Maybe I'm just a slow learner, but yeah, it still happens. Uh, yeah, like, oh, keep your arms in. No, protect your neck.
Cigarettes. Yeah.
No, there's always things that I'm seeing. It's not. It's taking it from other bits of of the game and going, oh, that now. Oh, I see how that goes in there now, and
Mm,
where you kind of originally start to create. You want structure. You want I need clear, defined things of this and this and this, and then later on sort of I'll jump tracks a little bit. You used to, oh, you would have Carlos Machado or Hagan or take your pick of the guys that would come out, and they just seem to break all the rules and do everything effortlessly. And like, what's going on? I don't
mm,
understand. They're doing it, but it seems to be they're impervious to whatever you try to do. And then now I start to see that they're following the rules, but just on a different level. And I'm always starting to see that and enjoy that now the same, where you will do things that you probably shouldn't, but because you're doing all these other elements, other things it seems like you're not playing it by the rules, but you are just on a different level. And
Wow.
I'm always seeing different things like, oh, I could do that here, and oh my God, that's just fixed up so many things. Yeah, always. Yeah, and this I try and tell my students, be an observer, and that's it. I'll go and play, and I go, what if I do this? Oh, that was good. Oh, no, that was bad. Oh, and I end up getting put into something compromising.
Yeah.
But yeah, always just be an observer when you roll. I think, yeah. And I remember Big Dave Christie goes, you're only 50% of the fight. So remember that.
Wow. Profound stuff, brother. Thank you for sharing all of that, man. That was great.
And on that, we've only got just over 4 minutes to go. Do you have any final words, any parting thoughts for our listeners, maybe particularly for people that are earlier on in their journey? As Anton said, as a fourth degree, you've got a lot of knowledge. Anything you want to share with our listeners?
Oh, nothing
No pressure.
profound. What I think is profound and what you think is entirely up to you. No, I just think that anyone that's looking to get into BJJ is, regardless of the distance, regardless of the cost, obviously within that's an important factor, but find the place that harmonizes with you as a person, because that's the most important thing, is that you've got to find the place that feeds what you're needing. Yeah. So, and that, it's always super. Do you get along with the coach? What are they as a person, the person that you want to look towards? And that doesn't mean just because they're a coach, they're a good person. It just means that, do they have the certain attributes and qualities that you want? And do the students also have that? Because they are definitely a derivative of that. And be sure to look for that, because that's the thing that will take you further.
I love it, man.
100%.
It's me all
Awesome. Thank you
man.
so
Thank you
much.
so much.
It's been, like I said, close to 4 years since we last spoke. And I think at the end of the last one, we said, definitely have to have you on again. So we followed through with it. It took a while to come around. So, yeah, thank you so much for giving up your time. And we will have this episode out. I think we've got a couple banked up already, but we'll have this one out in a couple of weeks. So if you could share it on your social media, that would really mean a lot to us. And anybody that's out in the West, as you know, western suburbs of Melbourne, Rise MMA, check them out. It's an awesome place, and we look forward to seeing you on the mats.
Awesome.
Thanks very much, guys. Love that. Appreciate it.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.